Hello and welcome to Talking Howie. My name is Andy Newport of the Daily Record. I'm joined by my colleague Scott McDermott. We've just been in to see Danny Rohl ahead of, I was going to say, a hugely important Old Firm game, but perhaps less so after this week's event, Scott.
Always important, Andy. Every Old Firm game's crucial, you know that.
Well, what did the Rangers manager have to say for himself ahead of the game at Celtic Park?
Well, it was interesting because obviously Danny Rohl's come under a bit of criticism this week, as you'd expect. 2 defeats in a row. Monday night, losing to Hearts at Tynecastle was obviously a disaster for him and for the club in terms of their title chances. And coinciding with that, the manager's now been linked to a move back to Germany. We believe Wolfsburg, Bundesliga club, have got him on a list of potential managerial targets. Look, I think we know he's not the type of manager to kind of come out swinging in his press conferences. He's pretty calm, collected, pretty measured in everything he says, but I thought he spoke pretty well. I mean, on his future, he's absolutely adamant that he's going nowhere, no interest in leaving Rangers. He kind of laughed off the rumours about Wolfsburg. Said he's totally committed to Rangers going into next season. I think we both know he had conversations with the owners and Andrew Kavanagh in Spain a few weeks ago when they were on their kind of warm weather training camp. This is also before the post-split fixtures, and I think a lot of those talks were about next season and the changes they were going to make. And listening to Danny Rohl today, as far as he's concerned, nothing changes on that front, and he'll be the manager at the start of next year.
Again, he was sort of quizzed on this mentality issue, the fact that yet again Rangers get themselves back into this position where they can strike for the top and then let it slip. Again, he sort of defended his players, but he did admit that, that there's, he's going to have to try and raise standard. And he does admit that, part of that includes making sure he's got guys. I think he said that they need to be on point in sort of April, May time. That was the big takeaway he took from his time at Bayern Munich, that when he had champion players, it was when the real business end of the season, that's when they come into it.
I think the mentality thing is difficult, Andy, because we know, and we've spoken about it for so long, there is a mentality issue at Rangers when it comes to go over the line and winning titles. The players, some of the players are still the same, but other players have changed, managers have changed, but it still persists, and it'll always be there until they go and win something, until they win a title. However, in terms of Danny Rohl, he can't come out, especially in either an Old Firm game, and say, the players have got a weak mentality. He would get slaughtered for that. However, listening to him, and you'll be the same, you're picking up on little things that he's saying, which tells me that he knows there's issues with mentality within that group. As you say, he's saying he has to change things in the summer, he has to raise standards. We asked him about the defeat at Tynecastle and kind of why it went so wrong in the second half. And he can't say there's no mentality issue, but then say, well, we lost the second half because in the first half we were running and players were running, they were active, they were looking for the ball.
He actually used the word lazy.
Exactly. And then they stopped running in the second half. Now, if you're a player and you face a bit of adversity and your reaction is to stop running, then I'm sorry, that is a mentality problem. But Danny Rohl's not that. I mean, he knows that it's not been good enough the last couple of weeks. Monday night was a major blow to them. In terms of the title race, psychologically as well, it's going to be tough for them, I think, to raise themselves for this derby game at the weekend, especially when Celtic are still going for the title. So he knows there are still there's still a lot of progress to be made at Rangers and more big changes in the summer.
Obviously, we know that 7 points behind with 9 remaining, it's going to be hugely difficult, if not impossible, for Rangers to get themselves back into a title reckoning from this position. But they can't give up this game on Sunday for nothing. It's still hugely important. There's still Champions League place, and the money and the riches that could provide for next season. So, I mean, it's not a dead rubber in that sense, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, it's vitally important. I've heard some people say Rangers might suit Rangers going with no pressure. For me, there's still massive pressure on Rangers. I mean, it's three-pronged for me. One, Champions League place, if they're not going to finish first, they need to finish second. Secondly, every Rangers fan will want to put massive dent in Celtic's title bid and try and make sure that that the trophy goes to Tynecastle as opposed to Parkhead. And thirdly, ahead of next season, I just think the Rangers fans are short on belief at the minute. They have to go and try and win the next 3 games. Make sure they finish second at the very least, and at least give them a wee bit of hope getting into next season. Because I've said before on here that I think if Danny Rohl was to finish second and it was narrow, I think he would at the start of next year. Supporters would have gave him real backing. He needed a lot of support. The problem is after losing 2 games in the trot post split, putting him out of the title race, he's in danger of losing that support and in danger of putting himself under huge pressure at the start of next season.
I think he already is under pressure. I mean, you only have to have a look at social media and you can see that already there are fans that have made their mind up on it. I mean, I wrote a piece this week talking about, was it Boris Johnson when he resigned from as Prime Minister, when the herd moves, it moves. I think, there's already a section of Rangers support that have decided their opinion has shifted. They want change. I also think the club are going to be reluctant to do that. They need to get out this rinse and repeat cycle we always talk about, hiring and firing managers. But that's why this weekend is crucial for him, because if he can get a result and just give something for the fans to cling on to get into the new season.
I totally agree. And he's also not beaten Martin O'Neill yet, Celtic manager. So that'll be another motivation for him. Look, I think you're right. He needs some positivity, and the best way to get positivity in this city is by beating your rivals. So as we touched on there, it's not a dead rubber. It's not meaningless. Still massive pressure. I say Celtic going for a title. Rangers try to stop them from winning it, and also getting that crucial. That Champions League place could be absolutely crucial financially, and thus bumping Celtic into the Europa League qualifiers.
It struck me just at the end. He used the phrase that he hopes to turn Rangers into, or hope for Rangers to become more than just a one-season wonder. That sort of echoes back to the phrase that Andrew Kavanagh used when he completed the takeover. They want to win sustainably, but they want to
serial winners.
I mean, but that is right now for this team still a long, long way away, because they can't even get across the finish line. Never mind do it repeatedly.
It feels like that at the moment. But I think it is encouraging. I mean, you're trying to take some positives from what Danny Rohl saying, and I think if you're a fan, it is encouraging to hear him saying that changes have to be made again in the summer. He was adamant that standards have to be raised again, and I think that's what a lot of supporters feel, is that the standards of yesteryear when Rangers were winning multiple titles have never quite been reached again. And he said, one season wonder. There's no doubt he's referring back to that title win in 2021, where Rangers go and win the league under Steven Gerrard. But I think everyone accepts that the club failed to build on that. There was a chance to really kick on, really put pressure on Celtic, go and win multiple titles in a row, and they didn't do it. For a lot of reasons, but largely due to a lack of backing and a lack of funds. That shouldn't be the case if Rangers were to go over the line now. So I think for supporters, as hard as it is at the minute, it'll be encouraging to hear the manager speak about that, knowing that the backing's there for Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers to go and make those changes, and hopefully for them go and put a sustained title challenge in next season.
But just go back to what you were saying at the start of the speculation about his own future, his own commitment. The fact he's talking about this kind of thing, winning repeatedly, shows that, for me, I took the impression that he's not have any thoughts about chucking in the tool or trying to get back to Germany. Obviously his family still live there. He's committed to this project. He wants to make a success of this.
I think so. You've called it a project there. I don't think he wants to call it a project. But I know what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. Like we're talking about Wolfsburg being linked to them. No disrespect to Wolfsburg, but
they could be relegated this
season.
So.
I mean, they're fighting for Bundesliga survival. I mean, does Danny Rohl really want to leave a club like Rangers to go and do that? He's already experienced that at Sheffield Wednesday, of course. So no, I think he knows he's at a massive club, with a massive challenge. He has got the support of good owners with financial clout. Obviously, support within the fan base is on the wane at the minute. But as we touched on, that he can help that cause by beating Celtic on Sunday.
Well, Scott says it's going to be a huge game this weekend. It always is when the Rangers and Celtic go up against each other. You can follow all the latest online at recordsport.co.uk, and also you can read it in the paper. So we thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.